Gentlemen, welcome back to Bootio's Boy Wrestling Fan. Today I'm here interviewing Logan Black, professional wrestler, King of Chaos, King of New York, the American Nightmare, what you used to go by.
Used to.
Yeah, used to.
For a very talented wrestler, decided to roll with that.
Yeah. So, thank you for doing this interview with me.
Sure, anytime, kid. What's up?
So, who was your idol as a kid growing up?
My idol as a kid growing up, so obviously anyone who doesn't tell you Hulk Hogan's lying to you. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage were the big three. Living through the Attitude Era, of course, it was Austin. And honestly, Mick Foley. I think Mick Foley is the one that I probably take the most from at this point.
Why did you get into wrestling? Like, what made you want to do this?
So for me, everyone in my family is a wrestling fan. Everyone, all my uncles. I've got my grandfather remarried 3 times. I've got 9 uncles. A lot of them. So a lot of male energy in the house, and all wrestling fans. My father, his father, big wrestling fan. So growing up, it was all the pay-per-views and everything else. My uncles, the ones who I was close with growing up, were like the original wrestling marks. So if you watch the early episodes of Monday Night Raw when they were at the Manhattan Center, camera side, there's one really fat dude, one kind of medium dude, and one tall, awkward dude. Those are my uncles. And they continue to take credit for the 1, 2, 3 kid chants when he beat Razor. Like they were there every week in the same seats. Similar like the ECW, hat band,
So you sometimes in your matches you have a fork. What is with the fork? Why do you have a fork?
Well, how else are you gonna eat?
There's that, but why do you use it in a match?
So, for me, I think one of the things that attracted me to wrestling once I broke in and really started getting my footing with things was the idea between brawlers. Of course, there's a lot of incredible technical wrestlers out there, a lot of excellent high flyers, but it's rare that you see somebody just go out there and swing for the fences, a la Stan Hansen or Bruiser Brody or Abdul the Butcher. So all of those guys were a lot of the people that I really looked up to. Is just they came, guns blazing, ready to swing. And, it was pretty much whatever wasn't bolted down, they're going to get used. Abdul the Butcher used forks. Homicide has used forks. Brody used forks. Matt Tremont has used forks. So why not? It's a weapon. It's easy to find.
So during your matches, you wear tape over your nose. Now, one of our theories was, as my crew here, do you have sinus infections?
I don't. I broke my nose twice in a weekend.
Oh.
A number of years back, and I didn't really have anything because it was a weekend that we were out on the road. So I broke it first night, and the second night I broke it after the match. I had nothing else to kind of fix it up and keep myself breathing and not have it swell up, so I just kind of taped it down. Somebody saw it, and they were like, roll with it. I mean, you can see in the camera got a massive bump right here from all the, that would be 3 times broken.
Wow. So you have a tag team partner, Jeremy Leary, and you go by the East Coast Bastard Crew.
Absolutely.
Where did you get that name?
So if you think about it, so Leary and I, despite the fact that we grew up, a couple 100 miles away from each other, we're of the same ilk, you know what I mean? We're of the same crew, both broke in the punk and hardcore scene in our respective towns, him in Massachusetts, me in New York City. And in the hardcore scene, you have these, what they call crews. It's pretty much a gang. This is really what it is. It's a crew of people. They run usually 5 to 20 deep. They'll show up at a show either to start a fight or to protect each other from other people looking to start fights. And that's kind of how we went about everything when we first kind of met each other and ran through things, that we were a crew. We were going to have each other's back. East Coast, we're from the East Coast, and we're a bunch of bastards, so it makes perfect sense. East Coast Bastard Crew.
When did you realize you wanted to do wrestling, pursue it?
Man, I was a kid, very young. I think it was 1st or 2nd grade. I wrote in a journal entry in school, pretty much I'm going to be a wrestler. I'm going to be a famous wrestler. I think in 6th grade I wrote another one about main eventing WrestleMania and all that. So since I was a little kid, it was this is what I'm going to do, and here I am doing it.
Did you do high school wrestling?
I didn't. So my high school, oddly enough, and I tell people this, they don't believe me, my high school didn't have any organized sports.
Oh.
So all the money from that school was funded into drama. They had a massive drama and acting program. Marissa Tomei went to my high school, when obviously not the same time. I'm not that old. But yeah, so it's very much like a drama-based school. I got to get bored with that, pursued music, kind of again where that, hardcore punk thing all comes in.
Where'd you get the nickname? So you, like I said in the beginning, you had 3 nicknames: King of New York, King of Chaos, and the American Nightmare. Where'd you get those nicknames from?
So the American Nightmare comes from a Misfits song called American Nightmare. I believe it was also a movie, especially if the Misfits are buying it. So kind of putting things together early on in my career, it was like, the Misfits, I'm going to roll with that. King of New York is because I won the King of New York tournament in New York. And the King of Chaos, when I found out that Cody Rhodes would be using American Nightmare, obviously it was my time to move on from that name because it had been taken by somebody way more popular. So I was like, what am I going to roll with? And I remembered it's the nicest way to put this, a lady of the night, so to speak. Lady who will remove her clothes for the money of other people who happen to... Sure, you said it, I didn't, kid. Who had tattooed on her stomach Chaos Queen, which was a favorite of mine. I absolutely adored her. So it was like Chaos Queen, Chaos Queen, King of Chaos. It was Chaos King and King of Chaos. All right, I'm going to roll with that. So she happened to inspire me. I also think she inspired Hank Williams III. He's got a song called Chaos Queen as well. I think it's about her. I'm fairly certain it is too.
Okay. So you worked with more like a deathmatch wrestler, Jeff Cannonball, in a death match.
Absolutely.
At Warriors of Wrestling. What was that like?
So Cannonball, as Jeremy Leary actually just got finished with a match against Cannonball not too long ago. Cannonball is honestly, he's possibly one of the best in-ring performers I've ever stepped in with. He's tough as nails. Swings for the fences, holds nothing back, and I mean, there's video out there of him getting a Kenzan pulled out of his head, like with pliers, right? So like, when you asked what it's like to wrestle Jeff Cannonball in a death match, like, well, what is it, running head first into a brick wall over and over again? Kind of like that.
Now, you had in that match, because I did my research.
It seems like you did, man.
You had some kind of platform with a bunch of plastic forks on them. Now, at first, when you put it on Cannonball, it was right set up, so if you did jump, it was gonna hurt you more. And then you ended up fixing it, and then Cannonball still flipped it, so it was gonna hurt you. How did that feel? And
so plastic forks were one of those things where it's like, if I get hit with this, it's going to be okay. It's plastic forks. What's it going to do? I think I took my shirt off at the gym a day later, and it looked like I'd been scratched up by Wolverine. It was even a week later, I still have all these scratches. It was pretty ridiculous. That was real painful. It's not something that I'd like to do again.
Now, you were also in Warriors of the Wrestling for a Money in the Bank ladder match.
I was.
Now, towards the end of the match, you got slammed on a ladder, and it literally broke the ladder in half, so it was bent.
Yes.
How did that feel?
Give you one guess.
Painful?
Incredibly painful. So I think that was one of the worst injuries that I gotten outside of concussions, where I think I pulled something in my back hitting that ladder, and I couldn't walk straight for a good week and a half.
You got up after that.
Adrenaline is a hell of a drug, but it's once that dies down, you got nothing else, Do
you remember the first ever match you saw?
The first wrestling match that I saw, so I remember going to see Hulk Hogan live. I don't remember the match, I just remember that I was interested in watching the Hogan poses and all that stuff. I remember going to meet Ric Flair, but I don't remember anything from that show. I just remember going backstage, I met his wife, and I met Rick. I don't remember anything from that. I remember watching, the first wrestling match I remember watching was Warrior versus Macho Man. I believe it was the first time when Macho loses, he has to retire. I remember what WrestleMania match that was, but I remember it only because my best friend was with me. He was a Macho Man fan. I was an Ultimate Warrior fan, and when Warrior beat him, he cried his eyes out in front of me. And I assured him, don't worry, next time Macho Man will win. And I don't think he did.
What was it like to work with the man beast, Rhino?
Rhino is, the nickname is pretty legit. He is a man beast. He's genuinely, again, it's like running headfirst into a brick wall. The guy is just massive human who kind of eats you alive if he wanted to. But an incredible learning experience for me. Rhino is an amazing, amazing professional wrestler.
What is it like to perform at a mall rather than a warehouse, some kind of lodge or anything? What's it like?
Honestly, for me, there's not much different. I'm coming out here to do what I do best every single time, so the setting doesn't necessarily matter. I just want to make sure that I give everything that I can to the people who are showing up. Again, whether it's a mall or a lodge or an arena or wherever else I've worked. I just want to make sure everybody goes home happy and says, "Yo, Logan Black," just put it all out there.
Do you have a favorite opponent?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Jeff Cannonball's definitely up there. He's a guy I wrestle all the time. Teddy Goods, I love wrestling him. We bring a hell of a fight out of each other. Hammer Tunis, had a blast with him. Private Party, me and Chris Benet wrestled them a bunch of times. They're always a lot of fun. I could go down the list for days, but those guys are the first that spring to mind.
Do you have a least favorite opponent? Like someone you really hate?
So, there's a match that all of your viewers can check out. I mean, I don't want to advertise it because it would give it views, but I mean, why the hell not? So there's a guy by the name of Frankie Love, who he told us he was a wrestler. Told us he was trained by Tommy Dreamer. Obviously, if you watch the match for more than 5 seconds, that wasn't the case. I wrestled him under a mask as a character that I'll do from time to time named El Muskie. Secrets out of the bag, people.
Breaking kayfabe.
It's whatever. Everyone knows at this point. I've got a beard. They notice it. Under a mask is El Muskie, and I wrestled this guy to just try to do something in front of his hometown crowd, and the dude was completely untrained, and it was one of the very few times that I was like, I want to quit wrestling. I'm done.
Now that I never knew you wrestled as someone with a mask, where'd you get the name El Muskie from?
So there was a guy when I first broke in called the Musketeer. He had a cup of coffee in ECW towards the end, but that's all he did. He drove the ring truck around pretending like he was like king shit. And he was a trainer at Gleason's gym where I trained under Johnny Rods, and the guy, just an awful human being, just a terrible person, told me to quit college and just pursue wrestling, which is the dumbest thing anyone could ever tell anybody. So when it came time, Warriors of Wrestling was putting together the show, this big debut in New York instead of New Jersey. We're like, you know what? We would joked around in the car, all the car rides, when we'd go out promoting. Like El Muskie, the Spanish-French luchador, because El Muskie doesn't make any sense. Like the Musketeer. He came out doing the whole Musketeer gimmick, and all I wanted to do was just get more over than that guy, which isn't very hard, and here I am, El Muskie, 12 years later.
Now, you worked with Jeremy Leary as a tag team partner, and Chris Benet. Benet. Do you think you're better as a tag team partner or as a singles person?
I think I do both pretty well. I like tag team because there's an art form to it that I really enjoy being a part of. But there also is an art form to singles match, especially putting me in death matches. It's something that I genuinely enjoy doing. But I mean, I love coming out here. I love winning tags. It really does matter about your opponent. I love Chris. Chris is a brother to me. Leary is a brother. Both of them were at my wedding, so like these are family members, So being able to go out there and tear it up with family members is always a plus.
Now, what is your favorite type of ice cream? Your flavor of ice cream? Because I watched your videos. Of ice cream.
So I'm particular to Ben and Jerry's. I like chunky ice creams. Give me Tonight Dough. I could roll with what's that one? Chunky Monkey? No, not Chunky Monkey. Chunky Monkey's got banana. That's gross. Chubby Hubby. That's the one that I like. If we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, I was born and raised on Baskin Robbins peanut butter chocolate.
Now, speaking about the ice cream, you have a show, I forget the name.
The Airing of Grievances.
Yes.
Hashtag Airing of Grievances.
What was, like, the purpose and where did you come up with that? Like, yeah.
So, I've been training people for a number of years. A lot of my students are on these PvP shows. They're all over the place. They're working. They're getting their name out there. The ones that I put my name on, of course. And, just in picking up things and watching and listening, obviously listening to other, legends of the ring and going to seminars, picking things up that, like, again, my personal flavor are the things that I enjoy. And all those little things that compiled over time, and then you come to shows and guys are like, hey, did you watch my match? What did you think? What's your feedback? And this is my way. I think I said it to Bear Bronson, because he was like, oh, this is great. I'm like, no, this is me just being like, hey, watch this stuff before you ask me what I think of your match, and don't do this stuff. Because it's all little tiny things that are just, could make a good match great, in my opinion.
Now, I ran out of questions, but I did come up with one more. So, you and Warriors of the Wrestling, you had an intergender tag team match. It was a 3-man.
Yes.
You, Jeffrey Bravo, and I forgot the other guy's name. Now, how come there was no female on your team, but there was 2 females on the other team and just 1 guy?
So for me, that match was an ability to get a couple of guys who've been doing, wrestling for a while up against a bunch of students, so that everybody has a learning experience. And the 2 young ladies on that side were students, and it's sometimes easier and better for them to get in there and learn in the ring, things they should do, things they shouldn't do from more seasoned veterans. So that was the entire purpose of that. At that particular taping, we didn't have any females who've been doing this for an extended period of time.
All right. Well, I appreciate you doing this interview. Is there anything else you want to ask or promote?
Absolutely. King of Chaos NYC on all social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go ahead and give me a follow. Also follow the Airing of Grievances, hashtag Airing of Grievances. New episodes every Thursday on Facebook and Instagram at 8 p.m. and at noon on Fridays on Twitter. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you. All right. And